Why does every generation believe the next one is weaker? Why do older generations say, this generation doesn't want to work? And why does Gen Z respond, you don't understand our world? What if neither side is wrong? What if they were simply shaped by different realities? Imagine being 22 years old, no internet, no Google, no remote work, no YouTube careers. If you lost your job, you didn't update your profile. You panicked because there were no endless options. There was one path, and if that path broke, you fell. That was the world many older generations were born into, not opportunity, uncertainty. When your parents struggled, when money was tight, when job markets were limited, hard work wasn't about ambition. It was about protection. You didn't work late because you loved your boss. You worked late because losing that job could collapse your entire life. So they stayed, they endured, they pushed through exhaustion, because stability meant safety. Today, we ask, why did they stay in one company for 20 years? But think about it. Changing jobs was risky. There was no online visibility, no skill marketplace, no personal branding. Loyalty wasn't weakness, it was insurance. Stay stable, climb slowly, retire safely. That was the formula. And for their time, it worked. Then something happened. The internet exploded. Information became instant. Opportunities became global. Suddenly, a teenager in a bedroom could build a business. Suddenly, one app could disrupt an entire industry. The rules changed, and they changed fast. Gen Z was born into this new world. Not scarcity, speed, notifications, comparisons, endless content, endless expectations. They didn't grow up fearing lack of opportunity, they grew up drowning in it. Too many options, too many paths, too many voices telling them who to be. And that creates a different kind of pressure, not survival pressure, performance pressure. Gen Z watched something else. They watched loyal employees get laid off. They watched companies collapse. They watched pensions disappear. They saw people who gave 25 years of service walk out with a cardboard box. So they learned a new lesson. Loyalty does not guarantee safety. And when you grow up seeing that, you prioritize skills over stability. Freedom over permanence. Adaptability over tradition. Not because you're lazy, but because you saw the risks differently. Ask an older generation, what is success? You might hear a house, a steady job, a retirement plan, security. Ask Gen Z the same question. You might hear freedom, flexibility, mental health, meaning. Neither answer is wrong. They are answers shaped by environment. One generation feared instability, the other fears burnout. Older generations were taught, don't complain, be strong, handle it. Emotions were private, struggle was silent. Gen Z was taught, talk about it, set boundaries, protect your mental health. One generation hid pain, the next generation names it. That difference can look like weakness, or it can look like evolution, depending on where you stand. When an older parent says, you're too sensitive, they are speaking from survival mode. When Gen Z says, you sacrificed your happiness, they are speaking from reflection mode. Both are reacting to different dangers. One feared losing stability, the other fears losing themselves. But here is something powerful. Gen Z's flexibility exists because someone built the structure, the companies, the infrastructure, the systems, the economy, the technology. Older generations carried heavy loads so the next one could move faster. Every generation builds a foundation it may never fully enjoy. That is the silent sacrifice of time. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you switch birth years, everything changes. If an older generation were born in 2005, with smartphones in their hands, with global connectivity, with AI tools, they would adapt. They would scroll. They would explore. They would think differently. If Gen Z were born in 1970, without internet, without safety nets, with limited job markets, they would work the same way. Environment shapes mindset more than personality. We are all products of our time. So maybe the question isn't, which generation is better? Maybe the question is, what shaped them? They survived the world they were given. We adapted to the world we inherited. And one day, the next generation will look at us and say, you did it wrong. And they won't be entirely wrong either, because time never stops changing the rules. Pause. Instead of comparing generations, understand them, because history doesn't repeat. It evolves, fade out,